One thing about me, and I think you know and a lot of people know, is I'm not going to die wondering. I'm happy to have a crack at anything, and as long as it makes sense to me. And the guy, I think Lucas has taken this fight because he thinks it's going to be an easy fight. He thinks he's going to walk through me, but just like the Hunt fight, I'm here to shock everyone.
He basically shit stirs. That's the best way to describe it. So I don't like shit stirs. I think it has stemmed from that. Obviously, there's an amount of jealousy on my end from the fact that he's getting paid way more than I am on a regular basis, not just this fight.
I don't believe he's a boxer. I don't believe he has very many boxing skills at all. I actually have more boxing skills than him, but one thing he has is a big right hand, huge right hand. I'm going to be very careful of that, so I'm going to have to go forward, not get caught on the way in. He's got power, there's no doubt about that. 25 knockouts, we all know he's got power. Can he use it better than Mark Hunt? I'm not too sure. I don't want to find out.
I think I'm the best Australian heavyweight that we've ever had. Just for the fact also that I've won a world title. That no other Australian heavyweight has ever won a world title. The fact he calls me a bum, and he's got better things to do or better fights to have and all that sort of stuff after myself, so he's already sort of looked past me anyway. But considering who I am and what I've done for the sport and what I've achieved in the sport as an Australian heavyweight, I'm far from a bum, that's for sure. So I think that rubbed me the wrong way for sure.
No emotion with me as far as he goes. I'm there to do a job. I'm there to train my backside off and get in the ring as best prepared as I can and just win on the night. That's what I'm there to do. People are all sort of writing me off a little bit, thinking I'm now almost turning 42. Yeah, I've still got a lot left in the tank. Lucas has got a couple of contracts with promoters, as we know, pulls out of fights, as we know, but to make this fight happen, Dean Lonergan won $100,000 now. That $100,000 had to come from somewhere. Matt Rose just said by his numbers he couldn't come up with it, so at first I offered to take a $50,000 loss if Lucas took a $50,000 loss. He said no, then I said 70 if he takes 30. They said no, so I took the $100,000 loss. And I know what he'll say, oh, he's getting paid more money anyway, and I am, but I'm here to make money, and to forgo $100,000 is a big sum of money. That's how much I want to win this fight. I put myself as the GOAT, greatest of all time of the Australian heavyweight boxers. I realise there's better boxers out there in the world, don't get me wrong. But in terms of Australian, 100%. You could go along the lines of Joe Bugner, etc., and they fought very credible people, but they've never won a world title. And some people agree, some don't. I saw him yesterday. I didn't know whether to give him a bra or not. He's developing a little bit of bitch tits there. Maybe some of the supplements over the years are starting to take effect. But yeah, certainly my missus actually saw it and said, I'll give him a bra. I said, darling, he's probably too big for you, those bitch tits. So I don't think I've even said too much. I called him a bitch a couple of times. That was about it. But yeah, I don't think I've said too much over the top or to offend him. I have been a Lucas Browne fan. I watched him when he was an MMA fighter. Watched him have a couple of boxing fights at local joints. I'm actually from Western Sydney, where he's from. We're from the same sort of area, so I knew exactly who Lucas Browne was growing up. And when he started fighting, I followed him, and I remember followed him over when he won his Commonwealth title, followed him when he won the world title, and I remember getting him on Triple M at the time and radio stations that I was working with at the time to help pump him up. It's sort of built in where you have to test yourself at some point, and I think obviously the NRL side's gone, so he has to test himself somewhere else, and that's boxing at the moment. So good luck to him that he can still do it physically and everything else. It's very taxing physically and mentally, especially you don't have teammates anymore, you're pretty much by yourself the whole time. It's a great test, and full credit to him for testing himself continuously. Taking those punches from Mark wasn't ideal, and I don't want to find out just how much power Lucas has got. I want to constantly move and not keep my head still at any stage and hopefully avoid those big shots.
Now Hunt presses in. Big left hook. From big shots, right hands. Now coming forward is Paul Gallen.
The left hook was about round 5. That didn't worry me. I actually rolled my ankle at the same time, so I sort of stumbled a little bit, made it look worse than what it was. So that wasn't the issue. The second round, he hit me with a beautiful right hand behind the ear. I think he thought I was going to fall. I remember seeing his face when I didn't fall. In the fight, it honestly felt like 30 seconds. It felt like such a long time. And then when you watch the footage, it happens in a second or two. I've recovered really, really quickly. So I don't want to take big shots like that, but it's nice to know if I do, I can sort of get my way out of it.
Your winner, Paul Gallen!
I expected more from Mark, unfortunately. I thought it was way too heavy. 128 was way too heavy for that. If he has to cut down to 120 for the UFC anyway, why wouldn't he do it for this fight, you know what I mean? So he sort of put himself under the pump from that point of view. And you can see when he rocked him a few times, he couldn't finish off. So it was unfortunate from Mark's point of view, especially coming from such a great career that he's had, to sort of do that against a football player. I thought the left hook was a better shot. When he hit him with that left hook, I thought, oh, here we go. But yeah, just sort of stepped off the gas and allowed both of them to have a breather. So it was a bit weird from my point of view. I believe, yeah, you can sort of sit there and hit someone with something like that. You've got to swarm them 100% and completely. Otherwise, like Mark Hunt, you're just letting him off. So you don't let people off when you got them in that spot.
Sometimes I just hold you, too caught up in me to see. I'm holding a fortune that heaven has given to me. I'll try to show you each and every way I can, now and forever. I will be your man.
The highlight of my career so far would have to be the Chesnian fight, the world title. Unfortunately, it was sort of tainted in a way in regards to I wasn't able to sort of celebrate it or anything like that. But to go over into someone else's backyard, especially in somewhere like Chechnya.
Oh, big left hand. He just teased him with the right, followed through with a big clubbing left hand, and Lucas Browne is down with 30 seconds to go in the sixth.
Definitely, because I think with the emergence of Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, all of a sudden we have, what a right hand.
Wow, right hand from Lucas Browne, and with a minute to go, Shagayev is on the canvas. He's taking his time getting up. 7, he looks wobbly, he doesn't know where he is. We could be on the cusp of a shock here in Grozny. Right hand again, he's in trouble. Lucas Browne goes for the finish. Uppercut. Referee has a good look. He's staggering back against the ropes, which appear to be keeping him up. He steps in. Lucas Browne has done it. Oh my word. Can you believe it? The unthinkable, the miracle has happened right before our very eyes.
The first 1 or 2 were a test to see where he was in terms of being with it or not. And I thought, I'll just keep throwing him. And I look back at it and think it was probably one of the messiest performances, or that sort of 10 seconds of throwing punches. It was something you'd sort of see in a car park. I totally realised that, but at the same time, I didn't let him off the gas. There's definitely like a rocky moment for me. Regardless of what happened afterwards, it's still something I'd be able to look at and be happy, proud for my family. I've got the belt sitting at home, so 100% that. I was supposed to get to that point, win it, and then go to a next point. So someone like a Klitschko at that point, someone like that, and we're talking a few $1 million for a fight, etc. Would have set me up for life. So it was all very much taken from under me. I pretty much had to start again from scratch. So my very next fight was for $3,000. So I've gone from here we are to absolutely nowhere again. Coming from the world title debacle, I'll call it, you can't not sort of take it to heart at some point. So constantly getting bombarded every day from social media saying I was a drug cheat and this, that and the other. Like, I was literally getting 30 to 40 messages per day with people just abusing me, being a drug cheat, So a lot of those were from the UK, unfortunately.
He won a version of a world title. I don't consider him to be the WBA heavyweight champion of the world, no. He won a version of the world title. I liken it to a reserve grade competition. It's a big achievement no one in Australia's ever done. I'm not trying to take that away from him, but I don't consider him to be the WBA heavyweight champion of the world.
The people that have also won that belt are Lennox Lewis, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, stuff like that. So again, he can say anything he wants. It doesn't mean anything to me.
The drug scandal thing with Shagayev and all the rest of it, I've been with the WBC clean boxing program the entire time. I have to basically tell them where I'm going to be at all times because they can just rock up at any time and test me. So
Lucas told me yesterday he's only ever been tested when he's fought overseas. So he's never been tested in Australia. So you've had, 4 or 5 fights overseas and tested positive twice. That's a fair strike rate.
A few more than that, mate.
Fair strike rate.
A few more than that.
Few more, okay, so 6 or 7.
So I completely, I love the fact that, there will be testing. I think it's great. I think it's great for Australian boxing as well, just to show everyone that there are clean fighters fighting in Australia.
I agree with what Lucas says, is people latch on to what they want to hear. They hear a name and they just latch onto that and they'll go at that. They don't want to hear the truth. He says he'll set up in Chechnya. A part of me thinks that's very possible, but the one in Australia is what it is. He tested positive and was, I don't know if he was punished for it. I don't, I know what the punishment in Australia is if you test positive, and I don't know what it is in boxing. I don't understand it, but that was many years ago, and I'm hoping that he's clean now, and I'm certainly clean, and I'm happy to be drug tested to prove it, and I think we should.
In a heavyweight division, the power is the last thing to lose. So I know I've still got the power. I'm still knocking people out left, right and centre in like sparring and stuff like that. So there's no problem with my power. It's just now it's more me going to the body or disguising things. I'm not just coming forward bang, bang. The fact that I don't have to worry too much about his boxing ability, I just have to worry about his gas tank and over 6 rounds. So I'm in a great place.
I think I can beat him. I think I can outpoint him. I may not have that one punch knockout power he has, but I think I can outpoint him and get the job done. And if I do that, I can move on to the next fight. That will be interesting again and make more money. That's my philosophy. He is reasonably good at fighting on the inside too. I'll give him that. He can handle himself on the inside as well. He's not one of these tall, lanky guys that has to grab and break it up. He can fight on the inside as well. So yeah, there'll be a lot of fighting on the inside and not so much fighting on the outside for me. So I think it's pretty obvious what's going to happen. We're going to stand there and have a crack.
For 6 rounds, there's no point in me trying to box him. So it's going to be a lot more fast-paced and a lot more power involved from the get-go.
I don't really like what he says most of the time, obviously in regards to me. There's been words like calling me a bum and he's got better things to do at the end of the year and all that sort of stuff. So it does sort of rub me the wrong way considering I'm the best heavyweight we've had in Australia. So yeah, I do think I need a bit more respect than that. But yeah, come April 21, I'll show him it.
It comes from one thing, jealousy. They all want to say just disrespect. Don't disrespect the sport and they shouldn't be doing it, blah, blah, blah. I'm the footy player, part-time fighter, jumping in there and fighting. They don't care less about the sport. They care about one thing, the bottom line. And I just put it down to basic economics, mate.
More people are going to know me in Australia from this than I have winning the world title, unfortunately. So I realised it was in Chechnya and it was at stupid o'clock and all the rest of it. But yeah, I'm happy to be back in Australia fighting.
They all want that 0 on their record. The only interesting fights Lucas Browne has is a world title fight. And one against Dillian White who almost killed him, and the one against Dave Allen who finished him.
I think I deserve a lot more. A lot of the things he says on social media is also specifically targeted at me to wind me up.
I look at all them other fights he's had, there's no one there I wouldn't fight. And they're not interesting fights for people to want to see. They're not interesting enough for people to main event to put on a main event show because Lucas has got 25 knockouts. Who wants to see a bloke walk in and knock a bloke out in 1 minute, which is what he's done a lot of the time. They want to see interesting fights, blokes going toe-to-toe and having a crack.
I don't want a decision. I don't like decisions. So I definitely want to go in there and knock him out. And it's going to be one of those ones where, as he's going to keep coming forward, so will I. So he said he's going to move and he's going to do this and that. That's fine. But you can have a plan, but once you get punched in the face, it all changes. It's
jealousy. He was once a rugby league player. They couldn't make it. So now he turned to boxing, which is, look, I was a rugby league player who made it, now I've turned to boxing. So not a lot of difference between us at all, to be honest. He only started fighting when he was 29 or 30, so it's not like he's had 200 amateur fights and been slaving around gyms for 20 years to finally get a payday. He started when he was late as well, so I just think it's pure jealousy and can't change it. It is what it is. I think he'll even admit that. There's definitely a point in which I need to celebrate something. Definitely knocking Paul Gallen out would be one of those. I think a lot of people want to see it as well, so there'll be a lot of fanfare for me wanting to celebrate that, so 100% straight to McDonald's.
Don't discredit that I'm there to win. He thinks he's going to walk through me. That's his problem. He doesn't give me the respect I deserve in boxing. He thinks he's going to walk straight through me. You look at his past. He dogged the Dempsey McKean fight. He's never faced guys like Alex Leopai. I spoke about his record a moment ago. He won't fight guys he thinks will challenge him. That's a fact. And I'm going to challenge him. I'm going to beat him. I am the biggest puncher in Australian boxing, 100%. I've still got the power. I'm turning 42 and I can still knock anyone out.
Me jabbing you in the face is generally like someone else's right here. So I've actually been told that a couple times, so it's a good thing for me.
Lucas, I respect what you've done. Some impresses me, some of it doesn't impress me at all. But I'm here to win on April 21. I'm going to shock you, I'm going to shock everyone, I'm going to get the win. See you soon, champ. Paul, we're going to have to meet each other in the ring, mate. Anything you say will be held against you. I'm coming straight for you, mate, and I'm going to knock you out.